You're watching Mindful Muslim X, where hearts awaken, minds grow, and faith finds its voice. Let's begin.
When we talk about putting the Qur'an first in our lives, it's not just about reciting it when we have free time or placing it beautifully on a shelf. It's about allowing the words of Allah to become the guiding compass for every decision, every thought, and every feeling we experience. You see, in today's world, we're bombarded with countless voices: the media, our peers, our own fears and doubts. These voices can easily overpower the truth if we're not anchored to something unshakable. The Qur'an is that unshakable anchor. It is divine guidance that doesn't bend with trends, doesn't get outdated, and never fails those who truly hold on to it. But here's the challenge. Many of us treat the Qur'an as a book we turn to only in moments of crisis, or perhaps during Ramadan, or when a loved one passes away. Imagine having a map that could guide you through every hardship, every confusion, every test, yet only unfolding it when you're already lost. The Qur'an is meant to be opened before the confusion begins. It's meant to be our daily companion, the voice we consult before making decisions, before speaking, before reacting to life. The problem is, we often underestimate its relevance to our personal struggles. A young man may think, how can verses revealed over 1,400 years ago help me with my career decisions, my mental health, or my relationships? But the beauty of the Qur'an is that it addresses the human heart, and the heart hasn't changed in thousands of years. The same fears, desires, temptations, and struggles we face today were faced by people before us. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has given us guidance that is timeless because it speaks to the nature of the human soul, not just to the trends of the time. When you truly put the Qur'an first, it reshapes your priorities. Suddenly you find that your decisions are no longer driven by fear of missing out, by the pressure of society, or by the expectations of others. Instead, they're driven by a sincere desire to please Allah. And here's the amazing thing. When you aim to please Allah, you naturally protect yourself from many of life's unnecessary worries, because you realize that your sustenance, your reputation, your relationships, even your lifespan, all of it is already in the hands of Allah. The Qur'an keeps reminding you of this truth, over and over again. But putting the Qur'an first requires consistency. It's not about binge reading 10 pages one day and then ignoring it for weeks. It's about building a relationship. Relationships are built on time, presence, and sincerity. Even if it's one verse a day, reflect on it, let it sink into your heart. Ask yourself how you can apply it today. This is how the Qur'an moves from being a book you respect to being a book you live by. When the Qur'an becomes your starting point for everything, you'll notice something powerful. Your worries begin to shrink. It's not that life's challenges disappear, but your perspective changes. You begin to trust the one who revealed the Qur'an more than you trust your own limited understanding. And that trust is where true peace comes from. So, my brothers and sisters, don't let the Qur'an be a book you admire from a distance. Let it be your closest friend, your guide, your comforter, and your reminder. Open it, not only with your hands, but with your heart, and watch how it transforms your life from the inside out. Because the one who puts the words of Allah first will never be left last. Trusting Allah is one of the most liberating feelings you can ever experience, but for many of us, it doesn't come naturally. We like to plan everything, control every outcome, and make sure things go exactly the way we think they should. And when they don't, we panic, we overthink, we worry ourselves into exhaustion. But the truth is, life was never meant to be something you control in its entirety. There will always be things beyond your reach, and Allah has designed it that way so that we turn back to Him. Trusting Allah means understanding that His knowledge, His wisdom, and His care for you are infinitely greater than your own ability to plan. When you really trust Allah, you begin to see that even your setbacks are not accidents. You start to realize that the delay you are facing is not a punishment. It might be protection. The opportunity you thought you missed out on could have been something that would harm you. The person who left your life may have been someone Allah removed for your own growth and safety. But we only see these things clearly when we step back from our limited perspective and start viewing life with faith. That's why trusting Allah requires letting go of the illusion that you're in control. You're not giving up your efforts. You're giving up your anxiety over the outcome. Think about this. How many times have you worried endlessly about something, only for it to resolve in a way you didn't expect? How many sleepless nights have you spent thinking of all the worst-case scenarios, when in the end Allah brought about something better than you could have planned? Worry drains you, but trust strengthens you. Worry looks at the problem. Trust looks at the one who holds the solution. When you place your trust in Allah, you stop carrying burdens you were never meant to carry alone. That doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. Islam teaches us to tie our camel, meaning to take all the necessary steps, and then leave the rest to Allah. You apply for the job, you study for the exam, you work on your relationships, you save money wisely, but once you've done what you can, you put the matter in His hands and allow your heart to rest. This is the balance of tawakkul, trust in Allah combined with effort. And when you live with this balance, you find a peace that people chasing control will never have. Trusting Allah also builds resilience. When your trust is strong, even if you fall, you know how to get back up. You don't see challenges as the end of the road, but as part of the journey Allah has chosen for you. You start asking, what is Allah teaching me here? Instead of, why is this happening to me? And that shift changes everything. Suddenly, your life becomes filled with lessons, growth, and gratitude, even in the middle of hardship. We have to remember that Allah sees the full picture. We only see one corner of the canvas, but Allah is the master artist. What looks like a random brush stroke to us is part of a masterpiece we can't yet see. So why would we let our limited vision be the judge of His perfect plan? The believer who truly trusts Allah walks into tomorrow with courage, because they know their future is already written by the one who loves them most. So, my brothers and sisters, let go of the need to control every detail. Work hard, pray sincerely, and then trust with a heart that's at ease, because the one who puts their trust in Allah never loses, no matter what the outcome looks like. One of the greatest blessings Allah has given us is the Qur'an. It is not just a book to be placed on a high shelf or recited without thought. It is a living guidance, a light for every moment of your life. The Qur'an is not just for Ramadan, not just for when you are in trouble, and not just for ceremonial occasions. It is a conversation between you and Allah, available to you at any time, in every season of your life. And yet, how many of us treat it as if it is distant, as if it belongs only in certain times and places? The truth is, the Qur'an was revealed to be lived with, reflected upon, and allowed to transform us from the inside out. When you open the Qur'an with sincerity, you are not simply reading words. You are being spoken to by the Creator who knows you better than you know yourself. Every verse has the power to touch a part of your heart you didn't even realize was wounded. Sometimes you will be reading, and it feels like the words are aimed directly at your current situation. That's not an accident. Allah knows your struggles, your fears, your hopes, and your pain. The Qur'an speaks into your reality because it is the timeless truth from the one who created time. But to truly benefit from the Qur'an, you need to approach it with a heart that is ready to listen. Too often we read quickly, racing through pages to meet a goal, and miss the chance to actually absorb its meaning. Imagine if a dear friend was writing you a heartfelt letter, pouring their wisdom and care into every line, and you skimmed through it just to say you finished. You wouldn't truly understand what they were telling you. In the same way, the Qur'an deserves your full attention, your focus, your reflection. Even if you only read a few verses a day, but you take them deeply into your heart, they will shape your character more than racing through entire chapters without reflection. Living by the Qur'an means allowing its words to shape how you speak, how you deal with people, how you make decisions, how you respond to hardship. When Allah tells us to be patient, we hold back from reacting in anger. When He tells us to be generous, we open our hands even when it's hard. When He warns us about arrogance, we check our hearts and humble ourselves. The Qur'an is not a decoration. It's a manual for living a life that is pleasing to Allah and fulfilling to your soul. We also need to remember that the Qur'an brings comfort like nothing else can. In moments of sadness, you will find verses that speak directly to your grief, reminding you that Allah is near. In times of confusion, you will find guidance that clears your path. In times of joy, you will find reminders to be grateful and to use your blessings for good. The more you return to it, the more it becomes your anchor in every storm and your compass in every journey. Sadly, one of the biggest tricks of Shaitan is to convince you that you don't have time for the Qur'an, or that you need to be more religious before you can connect with it. This is not true. The Qur'an is for you exactly as you are right now. It is meant to lift you, to guide you, and to draw you closer to Allah no matter where you are starting from. Even if you feel distant, even if you have been away for years, the Qur'an is waiting for you to return. So my brothers and sisters, do not let a single day pass without some connection to the Qur'an. Even a few minutes can change the way you see the world and strengthen your link to Allah, because the one who holds on to the Qur'an is never truly lost. One of the most important things we must remind ourselves of is that life will not always go according to our plans. No matter how carefully we arrange our schedules, no matter how much effort we put into securing our future, there will be moments when Allah's plan unfolds in ways we did not expect. And in those moments, our hearts are tested. Do we trust that He knows what is best for us? Or do we let frustration and despair take over? True peace comes when we accept that our knowledge is limited, but Allah's knowledge is perfect. Sometimes we think we know exactly what will make us happy, but Allah withholds it from us. We see this as a setback, but in reality, it may be a protection. Perhaps what you wanted so badly would have harmed you in ways you cannot see right now. And sometimes Allah gives us something we didn't even ask for, something we never imagined. And later we realize it was far better than anything we could have planned. This is why trust in His plan is not just about patience. It is about recognizing that His wisdom extends beyond what our eyes can see. Think about the times in your life when something didn't work out. At that moment, it may have felt like the end of the world, but later, you saw that it led you to something better, or it shaped you into someone stronger. That's the mercy of Allah working in ways that may not be obvious in the present. He is always arranging matters for your benefit, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. Trusting Him means believing that nothing happens without a reason, and that every delay, every closed door, and every twist in your path is part of a story that is ultimately for your good. Trust also requires patience, not passive waiting, but active patience. You still take the steps you can, you still put in the effort, but you let go of the anxiety about the outcome. You do your part, and you leave the rest to Allah. That surrender is not weakness. It's the strongest thing you can do because it frees you from the constant burden of trying to control everything. You acknowledge that the one who created you is managing your affairs better than you ever could. This trust is tested most when life feels heavy. When you lose someone you love, when you face financial struggles, when your health declines, or when the doors you desperately want to open remain closed. These are the moments when Shaitan whispers to you to give up hope. But remember, every hardship you face comes with its relief. Allah has promised this. The same way night always gives way to morning, your pain will give way to ease. Sometimes that ease comes in the form of a solution to your problem, and sometimes it comes in the form of inner strength and contentment, even if the situation itself does not change immediately. If you can hold on to trust in Allah during these moments, you will find a peace that nothing in this world can shake. You will learn to see beyond the immediate difficulty and believe in the goodness that is coming. And when that goodness arrives, whether in this life or the next, you will look back and see how perfectly every piece fit together. So whenever you feel lost, uncertain, or overwhelmed, remind yourself that you are never walking through life without guidance. The one who controls the heavens and the earth is also in control of your life. And when you truly trust him, you will realize that no matter how unpredictable the journey, the destination he is guiding you toward is always the best one for you. There will be moments in life when your heart feels heavy and your strength seems to fade. The weight of trials, the pressure of responsibilities, and the pain of loss can make you feel as though you are standing alone in a storm. In such moments, your connection with Allah becomes your anchor. It is not just about the prayers you perform mechanically, but about turning to him with the sincerity of someone who knows there is no other refuge, no other place of safety. When you speak to Allah in your times of struggle, you are not simply reciting words. You are pouring your heart into the hands of the one who understands it better than you do. Sometimes, we underestimate the power of dua. We make it casually, without realizing that it is one of the greatest acts of worship and one of the most powerful tools we have. Dua is not only about asking for what you want, it is about recognizing your complete dependence on Allah. It is admitting that no matter how strong, smart, or resourceful you may be, there are things in life that only He can make possible. And when you make dua sincerely, you are not just hoping for an answer. You are building a relationship with Him, trusting that His timing and His decision will always be what's best for you. There are times when the answer to your dua comes immediately, and there are times when it feels like the silence stretches on. But that silence is never emptiness. Sometimes, the delay is building something in you: patience, resilience, or gratitude. Sometimes, it's because Allah wants to protect you from something you cannot yet see. And sometimes, it's because what you're asking for is meant to come in a way or at a time that will bring you more good than you could have imagined. Even the act of worship, when done with presence of heart, becomes a source of strength. Salah is not just a ritual. It is a direct conversation with the one who created you. In every bow, in every prostration, you are reminded of your place in this world and your ultimate destination. When you put your forehead to the ground, you are placing your greatest vulnerabilities before the one who has absolute power to change your situation. And in that surrender, there is immense freedom. Remembrance of Allah, dhikr, is like water for a thirsty soul. The more you remember Him, the more your heart softens and finds calm. A heart that constantly remembers Allah cannot be easily shaken by the storms of life, because it knows where its true source of stability lies. Even in the darkest moments, that remembrance is like a light guiding you forward. Faith does not mean you will never feel sadness or pain. It means that in your sadness you do not lose sight of Allah's mercy, and in your pain you do not lose hope in His plan. It is a reminder that no trial is sent without a purpose, and no tear you shed goes unnoticed. Every act of worship you do, every moment you turn back to Allah, is building your strength, not just for this world, but for the everlasting life to come. So when you feel weak, don't run from the one who gave you life. Run to Him. Speak to Him. Place your trust in Him. And you will find that the same storm that threatened to break you will become the very thing that lifts you higher than you've ever been. Life has a way of placing us in situations where we feel uncertain, where we cannot see what lies ahead, and where the outcomes are completely beyond our control. In these moments, our minds naturally want clarity, our hearts crave security, and our souls yearn for peace. Yet true peace doesn't always come from knowing every detail of the future. It comes from trusting the one who already knows it all. This trust, this tawakkul, is not about ignoring effort or sitting back passively. It is about doing your part with excellence and then handing over the results to Allah with the firm belief that His decision will always be better than anything you could have planned for yourself. When you place your trust in Allah, it is like letting go of a heavy weight you were never meant to carry. You stop trying to control every outcome and instead focus on controlling your actions, your intentions, and your sincerity. You understand that your role is to sow the seeds, but it is Allah who sends the rain, who decides when and how the harvest will come. Sometimes the crop you expect is not the one you receive, but when you have true trust, you realize that what Allah has given you is exactly what you needed, even if at first it doesn't look like what you wanted. Trusting Allah does not mean life will be free from difficulty. In fact, it is often during the hardest times that you are given the chance to prove the depth of your trust. When everything seems to be falling apart, when people let you down, when plans collapse, this is where trust is truly tested. Will you still believe that Allah is in control? Will you still believe that He can bring ease after hardship? It is in these moments that you either surrender to despair or rise in faith. And if you choose faith, you will find a strength inside you that surprises even yourself. Think of the times in your life when you felt something was a loss, but later, looking back, you realized it was actually a blessing. At the moment, it might have been painful, disappointing, even heartbreaking, but it led you to something better, something you couldn't have reached otherwise. This is what trusting Allah is all about. It is knowing that even when you cannot see the wisdom, it is there. It is understanding that His knowledge is infinite, and ours is limited, and that His mercy encompasses us in ways we cannot comprehend. The beauty of trust is that it brings calm even before the solution arrives. It removes that constant inner panic and replaces it with a quiet assurance. My Lord is taking care of this. That calmness does not come from ignoring reality, but from knowing that you are dealing with reality while relying on the one who has power over it. And the more you trust, the more you see His hand guiding you, protecting you, and opening doors you never thought possible. This trust transforms the way you respond to life. It stops you from being consumed by fear of the future or regret of the past. It allows you to live fully in the present moment, doing your best without being crushed by the weight of what you cannot control. And when you reach that state, you find yourself lighter, freer, and more hopeful, because your heart knows that you are in the care of the most merciful, the most wise. So, no matter where you are right now, no matter what uncertainty you face, place your trust fully in Allah. Do what you can with sincerity, leave the rest in His hands, and watch how He takes you to places you never dreamed possible.